Using a throwaway because my family knows my main account and I, 26F, need to keep this as private as possible while getting advice. I've been married to my husband Alex, 29M, for 3 years now, together for 6. We met during my sophomore year of college when he was doing his master's. He was the teaching assistant for one of my classes, and we started dating after the semester ended to avoid any conflicts of interest. From the beginning, Alex has been my rock. He supported me through college, helped me get my first teaching job, and has always been there for me through everything. I grew up in what looked like a perfect household from the outside. My dad is a successful businessman, mom runs her own boutique, and my brother Tom, 28M, was always the golden child. Growing up, the dynamic was clear. Tom could do no wrong, while I had to follow strict rules about everything from dating to staying out late. When Tom got caught drinking at 16, my parents grounded him for a week. When they found an unopened beer in my room at 18, they took away my car for 6 months and almost didn't let me go to college. Despite this obvious favoritism, I maintained a decent relationship with my family. Tom and I were never super close, but we were civil. He went into law enforcement administration, works as a civilian employee at the local police department, and my parents never stopped bragging about how he was serving the community. Meanwhile, when I told them I wanted to be a teacher, they spent months trying to convince me to go into business instead. Alex noticed these dynamics early in our relationship but never pushed me to confront them. He just made sure I knew I had support if I ever needed it. My parents were initially against our relationship. They thought I was too young to get serious with someone, and they didn't like that Alex came from a common background. His dad is a mechanic and his mom is a nurse. But over time, they seemed to accept him, or at least I thought they did. This weekend, everything exploded at our monthly family barbecue. These BBQs have been a tradition since before I was born. Extended family comes over, everyone brings food, and usually, it's a nice time. Tom has been going through a rough patch lately. His girlfriend of 5 years left him 3 months ago. He's been distant since then, but I try to give him space. From the moment Alex and I arrived at the barbecue, Tom was acting strange. He kept making snide comments about my marriage. At first, they were subtle, things like must be nice to be so settled and I bet married life isn't all it's cracked up to be. I ignored these because I figured he was just bitter about his breakup. But as the day went on, his comments got more aggressive. He started saying things like I bet you regret rushing into marriage and you could have done so much better than a teacher's assistant. What hurt most was that my parents were right there during some of these comments and didn't say anything. Mom even laughed at one point, like it was just harmless teasing. Alex noticed how these comments were affecting me. After about an hour, he pulled Tom aside to talk. I couldn't hear everything, but I heard Alex calmly telling Tom to cool it with the comments and that he was being disrespectful. Tom seemed to back off for a while, and I thought that was the end of it. Everything was fine for the next couple of hours. We were all gathered around the grill, talking and laughing. My aunt was telling everyone about her recent trip to Europe, and it felt like a normal family gathering. That's when everything went sideways. Tom had been drinking steadily all day. He came up to our group, interrupted my aunt's story, and started going off on me. He called me pathetic for settling down so young. He said I was wasting my life being just a teacher when I could have gone into business like Dad. Then he dropped the bomb. He called me a whore and said I probably slept with half the guys in college before trapping Alex into marriage. This was in front of everyone, our parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins, family friends. The worst part was seeing my grandma's face fall. She's always been so proud of me, and hearing those words about her granddaughter visibly broke her heart. Before I could even process what was happening, I felt Alex gently push me behind him. It wasn't rough, just a protective movement to get me out of the way. Then he punched Tom square in the face. One hit, and Tom went down immediately, blood streaming from his nose. My mom started screaming, and my dad had to hold her back from attacking Alex. In the chaos that followed, my parents instantly took Tom's side. They're saying Alex is dangerous and violent, that Tom was just drunk and didn't mean what he said. They're completely ignoring that Tom had been making these comments all day, and that Alex had already warned him once privately. Yesterday, my mom called with an ultimatum: either I leave Alex and move back home, or they'll cut me off completely. They're also threatening to press charges against Alex for assault. Alex isn't worried about the charges. He says he has witnesses who heard Tom's comments and saw that he only threw one punch in defense of my honor. I'm torn apart. My husband has always supported me, defended me, and loved me unconditionally. He was protecting me from verbal abuse. But my parents raised me, and despite their favoritism, they've always been there for me in their own way. My extended family is split. Some say Alex went too far, others say Tom had it coming. My best friend Sarah thinks I should stick with Alex because my parents are enabling Tom's toxic behavior. But my cousin Lisa, who I'm really close to, says family should come first and that violence is never the answer. She thinks Alex should have found another way to handle it. What makes this harder is that Tom has been struggling with depression since his breakup. His ex left him for another guy, and my parents say we need to be understanding of his situation. But does that mean he gets to verbally abuse me in front of our entire family without consequences? I don't want to lose my family, but I also don't want to leave my husband who is just protecting me. Alex hasn't pressured me either way. He just says he'll support whatever decision I make, but he won't apologize for defending me. He says he'd do it again if he had to. I need advice. Am I wrong for not immediately condemning Alex's actions? Should I try to find a middle ground? Or do I need to make a choice between my husband and my family? Edit. Thank you all for the responses. To clarify, yes, this is the first time Alex has ever been physical with anyone in the years I've known him. He's usually very calm and collected. And no, Tom has never acted this cruel before. He's always been arrogant but never like this. Update 1 first, I want to thank everyone who responded to my original post. Your support and advice really helped me think things through. A lot has happened in the past week and everything has gotten more complicated than I ever imagined. After reading your comments, I decided to try talking to Tom first. I thought maybe if I could understand why he acted that way, I could find a way to fix this mess. I went to his apartment yesterday morning, using the spare key my parents gave me for emergencies. What I found there shocked me to my core. The apartment was in complete disarray, empty bottles everywhere, takeout containers piled up, clothes strewn all over. But what really stopped me in my tracks were the walls. Every available space was covered with printed screenshots of my social media posts, especially ones featuring Alex and me. There were angry notes scribbled all over them in red marker, things like fake happiness, shows off too much, thinks she's better than everyone. Some of the photos had Alex's face scratched out. When Tom came out of his bedroom and saw me staring at the walls, he completely broke down. Through his tears, he revealed that his ex-girlfriend hadn't just left him for another guy, she left him for someone who reminds him of Alex. Apparently, before breaking up with him, she spent months comparing him to successful guys like your sister's husband. She would point out how Alex treats me versus how Tom treated her, how Alex had his life together while Tom was stagnating in his job. Tom admitted he's been obsessively following my social media for months. Every happy post, every photo of Alex and me, every milestone we shared, it all fed into his growing resentment. He convinced himself that my perfect life was somehow responsible for his misery. If I hadn't set such high standards with my marriage, maybe his girlfriend wouldn't have left him. But then he revealed something that made my blood run cold. He showed me his phone and admitted he's been sending anonymous threatening messages to Alex for months. He created fake accounts to harass him, trying to scare him away from me. The messages started mild but got increasingly aggressive. Some of them contained personal details about our daily routines, proving he'd been watching us. Tom thought if he could break up my marriage, it would somehow fix his life. He believed that if I was as miserable as him, things would be fair again. The barbecue incident wasn't just a drunk outburst, it was a culmination of months of planned harassment. When I told my parents about what I found, their reaction disturbed me even more. Instead of being concerned about Tom's obsessive behavior or the threatening messages, they suggested that maybe he had a point. My mom actually said, "Well, you do post about your marriage a lot. Maybe you should be more considerate of people who aren't as lucky in love." My dad added that Alex and I do flaunt our happiness too much on social media. They're now suggesting that I should post less about my marriage and stop attending family events with Alex for a while to give Tom time to heal. When I pointed out how insane that sounded, they started implying that they have some dirt on Alex from before we met. They won't tell me what this supposed dirt is, but they're using it as leverage to keep us from reporting Tom's threatening messages to the police. Alex was understandably furious when I showed him the messages. He wants to go to the police immediately, both about the threats and about Tom's concerning behavior. But my parents' threats about the dirt have us worried. What if they try to ruin Alex's career? He's up for a promotion at his school, and any scandal could affect that. I'm starting to see my entire family in a different light. The way they're enabling Tom's behavior and trying to manipulate us is making me question everything about my childhood. Was Tom's golden child status actually something more sinister? Were my parents always this manipulative, and I just couldn't see it? Yesterday, Alex's sister Kate pulled me aside and revealed something disturbing. She had witnessed Tom making similar obsessive walls about his ex-girlfriend before she left him. There were photos and notes about her too. Kate had tried to warn the girlfriend, which is partly why she left. The most shocking part? My parents knew about this behavior but kept it quiet, saying Tom was just processing his emotions in his own way. I'm standing firmly with Alex through all this, but I'm terrified about what Tom might do next. We've installed security cameras at our house, and Alex is insisting I take self-defense classes. He's also started documenting everything, just in case we need it later. My parents are still pushing their ultimatum, but now they're adding guilt trips. Mom called crying last night, saying Tom might hurt himself if I don't leave Alex. She said I would be responsible if anything happened to my brother. Dad sent a long email about family loyalty and how I'm betraying them by choosing an outsider over blood. The police option is complicated because Tom works for the local department as a civilian employee. We're worried about how that might affect any complaint we try to file. Would they take it seriously, or would they protect one of their own? I feel like I'm watching my family transform into people I don't even recognize anymore. Or maybe they were always like this, and I just didn't want to see it. How did we get here? And what do I do about these threats hanging over us? Edit, a lot of you are asking why I don't just go to a different police department. We're considering that, but we're worried about possible retaliation since Tom has access to police records. We need to be smart about how we handle this. Update: 2 things have escalated beyond anything I could have imagined. The dirt my parents claimed to have on Alex? Well, they finally showed their hand, and it backfired spectacularly on them. Last weekend, my parents called an emergency family meeting. They said they needed to show me proof of why Alex was dangerous and why I needed to leave him immediately. My aunt and uncle were there too. Apparently my parents wanted witnesses to whatever they were about to reveal. They laid out several police reports from Alex's college days, claiming he had a violent past that he'd hidden from me. The reports suggested he'd been involved in multiple fights and had been arrested for assault. My mom was practically gleeful as she handed me the papers, saying, "See? We told you he was dangerous." But something strange happened. Instead of looking worried, Alex smiled when he saw the reports. He calmly asked my parents how they had accessed sealed records from another state. The room went dead silent. Turns out, Tom had used his position at the police department to illegally access Alex's records. But he didn't stop there. He had actually altered them to make Alex look bad. The original report showed that Alex had been the victim in those incidents, not the aggressor. He was attacked by a group of guys defending a female friend, and all charges against him were dropped. Alex revealed he'd suspected something like this might happen after the barbecue incident. He'd been quietly gathering evidence ever since, anticipating that Tom might abuse his position. All those threatening messages Tom sent? Alex had documented every single one. He also had recordings of conversations where Tom had inadvertently admitted to stalking us. In front of the whole family, Alex gave Tom one chance to come clean about the record tampering. Tom, probably thinking he was still in control of the situation, tried to bluff his way through. But when Alex mentioned that he'd already spoken to his lawyer and was prepared to take everything to internal affairs, Tom cracked. What came out next was even worse. Tom confessed that my parents had actively helped him access and alter the records. They had used Dad's business connections to get someone in the records department to look the other way. Their plan was to use these fake reports to force me to leave Alex, thinking I wouldn't verify the record's authenticity. The family meeting dissolved into chaos. My aunt, who had always seemed to support my parents, suddenly spoke up. She revealed that my parents had pulled similar stunts before. 10 years ago, they tried to break up my cousin Rachel's marriage by fabricating evidence that her husband was cheating. Rachel ended up moving across the country to get away from their manipulation. My mom started crying, saying they did it all to protect me. Dad tried to threaten Alex with ruining his teaching career if he reported anything. But Alex had one more card to play. He pulled out his phone and revealed that he'd been recording the entire meeting. The look on my parents' faces when they realized they'd just confessed to criminal actions on tape was something I'll never forget. Tom stormed out, my mom had a complete meltdown, and my dad tried to grab Alex's phone, but was stopped by my uncle. Now everything is a legal mess. Alex has reported Tom to internal affairs for misuse of police resources and tampering with official records. My parents are facing potential charges for their part in the scheme. They're begging me to convince Alex to drop everything, promising they'll leave us alone if he does. The hardest part of all this is that I found out I'm pregnant last week. It's very early, only about 6 weeks, but instead of being able to joyfully share this news with my family, I'm dealing with all this chaos. Alex is overjoyed about the baby but also more determined than ever to resolve this situation. He says he doesn't want our child growing up around this kind of toxic manipulation. Some family members are pressuring me to convince Alex to let it go, saying pressing charges will tear the family apart. But others, like my aunt, are encouraging me to let him proceed. She says the family was already torn apart by my parents' manipulation, and maybe this is what needs to happen for real healing to begin. My parents have now switched from threats to begging. Mom keeps sending emotional messages about wanting to be part of her grandchild's life. Dad is trying to convince me that they can all go to therapy and work things out. But after seeing how deep their manipulation runs, I don't know if I can ever trust them again. The only silver lining in all this is that I finally see everything clearly. Years of gaslighting and manipulation are coming into focus, and while it hurts, it's also freeing in a way. Edit. Thanks for all the support. Yes, we have a lawyer handling everything. No, we're not dropping the charges. Alex and I agree that there need to be consequences this time. Update 3. This will be my final update. Everything is finally settled, though not in a way anyone could have predicted. I'm writing this from our new home in a different state, where Alex and I moved after everything that happened. The legal fallout was significant. Tom lost his job after Internal Affairs investigated him. Their investigation uncovered that he hadn't just tampered with Alex's records, he'd been abusing his position to access and alter records for years, usually to help my parents dig up dirt on people they didn't like. He took a plea deal that included mandatory psychiatric treatment to avoid jail time. My parents were fined heavily for their involvement in the records tampering. They also lost a lot of standing in the community when everything came out. Several of Dad's business partners cut ties with him, and Mom had to close her boutique after people stopped shopping there. They're now facing civil lawsuits from other families whose records Tom accessed illegally on their behalf. But the most shocking developments came from Tom's therapy sessions. His therapist reached out to me, with Tom's permission, because some disturbing patterns emerged during their sessions. Tom revealed that our parents had been deliberately manipulating both of us our entire lives. They would tell him I was jealous of his success while telling me he resented my happiness. They engineered conflicts between us and then played the peacekeepers. According to Tom's therapist, our parents showed signs of narcissistic behavior, using their children as extensions of themselves rather than treating us as individuals. They encouraged Tom's obsession with my life because it served their narrative of family loyalty and control. The therapist suggested family therapy to address these patterns, but I declined. I'm 7 months pregnant now, and I need to focus on creating a healthy environment for my baby. More family secrets have come out since then. My cousin Lisa, who initially sided with my parents, found old emails where my mom tried to break up her marriage too. She had created fake social media accounts to send Lisa's husband messages pretending to be from an ex-girlfriend. When Lisa confronted my parents about this, they tried to gaslight her, claiming she was remembering things wrong. Alex and I moved 3 months ago when he got offered a position as a department head at a prestigious school in another state. I got a teaching job at a nearby elementary school, and we're settling into our new life. The distance has been healing. I've blocked my parents on everything, and while some family members think I'm being too harsh, others have shared similar stories of manipulation that I never knew about. Tom sent me a long email last week, apologizing for everything. His therapist says he's making progress in understanding how our parents' manipulation affected him. Part of me feels sad for him. He's also a victim of their games, but I can't have him in my life right now. Maybe someday, after lots more therapy and time, we can try to rebuild some kind of relationship. But it won't be anytime soon. The hardest part has been accepting that sometimes the family you're born into isn't the family you need. The constant guilt trips from relatives about deserting the family still hurt, but I know I'm making the right choice for my child. Alex and I are determined to break these toxic patterns before our baby arrives. I'm due in 2 months, and we've already decided that my parents won't be part of our child's life. It's a hard decision, but seeing how they're still trying to manipulate other family members shows they haven't changed. Just last week, they tried to convince my aunt to tell me that Tom is dying, he's not, to get me to contact them. The silver lining in all this is that losing my toxic family helped me appreciate the healthy relationships in my life. Alex's family has been incredibly supportive, and several of my cousins who cut contact with my parents years ago have reached out to share their experiences and offer support. Sometimes walking away isn't giving up, it's choosing peace. I'm finally looking forward to building a family of my own, one based on love and respect rather than manipulation and control. This will be my last update. Thank you all for your support throughout this journey. It helped me stay strong when I doubted myself the most.